Welcome to Fix More, Waste Less. Today I'm working on this Xbox One X that doesn't have a display signal. I've plugged it in, powered it on, it does turn on, but yes, it does not display anything on the TV. So first thing we need to do is get this apart and see what's going on. It came with this already kind of broken, so this just popped right off, which is the first thing you need to do anyway. From there, I still assume I need to remove these. T10H torque, okay. So, yeah, sure. There. Where's this? And here. I don't know if you can see it there, but there's some weird little corrosionous or something. Glue maybe? I don't know. We'll clean that up. There we go. And we'll put that to the side. And just like that, you have what once was called the world's most powerful console out of its casing. And that is what we're curious about. The HDMI port looks good. You know, it doesn't look damaged or anything. Let's get it under the microscope. Oh yeah. It looks like someone has been trying to work in here. And hopefully they didn't create a mess. I mean, that pin might be broken right there, actually. That pin broken? It's solid, but that is. See if it's connected to this or not. So that's still connected. If anything at all, but that's connected. I'm going to speed through my first attempt to replace this chip. I was using my cheap hot air station and it definitely shows. It took a lot of heat and a long time to remove that chip. And I almost gave up multiple times, but eventually it does come off. Oh, it came off. Look at that. Wow. Alright, got it off. Of course, I also managed to take off 3 capacitors at the same time, which is not great, but it wasn't a catastrophe either. At least I found them all and didn't have one disappear. Here you can see one stuck to the chip. That was nice. But with the HDMI retimer chip removed, I can come in and add some leaded solder to the board, and then come in and add some flux to do it properly. But with the leaded solder, that will help lower the melting temperature of the unleaded solder already on and make things a little bit easier. With the cheap station struggling like it was, I needed all the help I could get. Then I'll come in with the solder braid and wick up the old solder and clean the pads, making them ready to be retinned with new leaded solder so that I can get the chip back in place. See? With the pad cleaned with some IPA, I can come back in with some new lighted solder and re-tin these pads. We'll add our flux. Okay, now we can do this again. Practice makes you better. There we go. Now that looks nice. That looks good. Okay. And while we're at it, we'll tin the pads for the capacitors I accidentally removed. And then here's our new HDMI retimer chip, TDP158. It's a pretty common failure point for these Xbox One X's that don't display an image. So if that's your issue, I would check I'd first check the HDMI port for any damaged pins. And if that looked good, I would go ahead and just replace this chip. The chip itself isn't too expensive, so that's not going to set you back too much. I did manage to resolder the new chip with my cheap station, and after a bit of struggling managed to get those 3 capacitors back into place. Part of the issue with the cheap station was it just wasn't getting anywhere near as hot as the settings indicated, so I had a higher airflow going to compensate, and for me that just kept blowing the capacitors all out of whack. But with the capacitor and chip in place, I went around the legs of the chip with my soldering iron, trying to ensure a good solid connection, and once I thought everything was good, I put the console back together to see if it would now show a picture on screen, and it didn't power on at all. Not a beep, no white light, nothing, so the console was dead. Obviously I'd done something when reinstalling the chip, shorted 2 connections or disconnected something that was needed for the console to turn on, but by that point I was over my cheap station struggles. There was no way I was going to subject the board to another dousing of hot air to try and get the chip put back into place. Instead, I made the decision to upgrade my hot air station to this Aden ST862D. If you would like to see a quick review of the station as it compares to my cheap one, please check out this video linked in the corner. But with my new hot air station, I was ready to give this repair another try. So we're back with our Xbox One X, where we're trying to replace this HDMI retimer chip using hot air, and I believe it's these. Yeah, these 2 should not be, and they are. So, and get this thing working again. So, also these are not great. We're gonna reflow this chip and see if that can help fix our problem. Look at that. That amazingly looks a lot different than this right here. I mean, I don't know if it's just the coloring that's come off of it, but oh well. And this is the original. You can see how messed up that one is. Do a little bit of pad prepping on some of these that look a little bare. Get it nice and shiny before we put this chip back on. Let's add some flux. Got the new chip. There we are. I'm gonna turn down the flow. There you go. A little nudge, and come on. Looks pretty good. A little crooked. Okay. Now I'll push down on it. There we go. Just get that solder ball out. Just add some more to this. Here you are. Okay. Then we got this side. Okay, I mean that looks about as good as the last one did. But we can hope this one's better. Because if it's not this, then I'm not entirely sure what else. That goes in next. So you can go over top of this. You can keep over here like that. Okay. HDMI in. There we go. And we just need to put the board in. Okay, so we're gonna hope it turns on and that we get a signal. Okay, comes on. Beautiful. Spins, so at least we installed it correctly enough that it's gonna do that. Are we gonna get a signal? Please, I would love a signal. I would love for a signal to appear. Oh, I did it. Holy shit. That is awesome. That's the monitor. That's not the Xbox. What? Oh, that's awesome. That's like the first real thing I've fixed, I think. Oh, okay. I'm gonna turn it off since I don't have a thermal paste on there. I think it'll go past this. I'm gonna obviously put it back together more and test it out all the way. But it's got a picture and it didn't, and it turns on, and for a minute there it didn't. That's awesome. Yeah, that made all the better because I got this guy recently. If you saw my previous video, or one of my previous videos where I tested this versus the one I used to have, which is down there, this thing is way better and definitely worth the money. You saw how fast at 450 it just pulled the retimer chip. Yes, it had leaded solder underneath it, but that is fantastic. And I don't know if that's just that retimer chip was bad or if it was just disconnected probably, but hey, this one works. I'm gonna put it all together, get it back in here in its case. Doubly excited about this because I currently have an Xbox One S. I'm just too cheap to buy a Series X, but I am gonna turn this into my, personal one. I'm not gonna sell this, but I'm gonna keep it as my own personal one because I've never had an Xbox One X, and I'd like to try it out. Okay, well, let's get to putting this back together and testing some more. We want to get the old thermal paste off for sure. So let's see if we can't get this off. A little bit of thermal paste on here. That should do it. Okay, so okay, actually I gotta take this out. Let's see. Power's on. Stays on. Fan spins. And okay. Still comes on. So, oh, you know, one thing I didn't do, check if it loaded the disk, but it's not spitting anything out, so we got no disk. Oh, there you go. Look at that. So, all right. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to get more like it. I hope you learned something useful that can help you fix your Xbox One X if it has a display issue, or at least help you understand what's going on with it. Thanks for watching.